Today we will be doing a presentation on emotions and learning. Hello, my name is Alexis Franklin, my intended audience for this upcoming presentation. Audience for this presentation is for any upcoming and current education. The purpose for selecting the said audience is due to the role of educators in enabling students in realizing better learning outcomes. As such, educators should be adequately versed about any factor that may adversely impact the learning outcomes to help them make the necessary interventions. Where learning is affected negatively, educators should seek the right interventions to deal or to reinforce positive influences. Do emotions affect learning? There is no doubt about this particular issue here. When we think about the negative emotions such as anxiety and how they interfere with the thinking ability, the situation is no different when it comes to students. We see where emotions and learning are intertwined. They are together. They work hand in hand. With emotions can interfere or enhance learning depending on the ones that are strong in any given instance. Okay, with our conceptual overview, emotions are an embodied response to a certain stimuli, which may be internal or external. It may be perceived, it may be real, and it's experienced by shifting from positive to negative. Emotional experiences are ubiquitous in nature and imperative and even critical in academic settings because emotion serves in modulating almost every aspect of cognition. In a learning environment, emotions can impact both learning and teaching by supporting or undermining these processes. Okay. With emotional theory that's in education, such as the basic emotional theory, it supports the claim that emotions affect learning. For instance, physical expression of basic emotions like tightening the nostrils as a way of demonstrating disgust or anger. It is common across all cultures, various cultures, I would say. And it may disrupt the cognitive function of an individual. There is also a more broader theory in the form of academic emotion theory that supports the connection between emotions and learning. The theory dwells on complex emotions such as achievement emotions, social emotions, things of that sort. Now we have the application to student learning, which are 4 ways in which emotions affect learning as evaluated. First, there's a psychological impact where positive emotions make a student feel better about learning. When positive emotion attitudes are held by a student towards education, that student feels that they are in control of their learning process, which results to increased effort. Secondly, there is a motivational effect where positive emotions make students feel motivated toward learning. If a student is motivated to learn, it means that that student will engage in learning materials for a longer period, translating to a high likelihood of comprehending the learned concept. We see where positive attitudes promotes an upward spiral of learning, whereas the reverse is true when with negative attitudes. For instance, we see with students with more efforts tend to feel additional positive outcome, while consequently translating to upping that effort, leading to a growth mindset or increased growth mindset towards learning. Students with negative attitudes toward education end up with a negative mindset towards education, and this contributes to that poor outcome as well as that increased risk of dropping out of school. The same do apply for positive emotion as students are motivated to learn as well as they're demotivated if they experience negative outcomes. Third, there is a social impact of emotion to student learning where positive emotions have been found to improve cohesion in learning groups. If a student feels good about learning, they are not only highly likely to comply with the instructions from the educator or the teacher may give them, but equally contribute their thoughts and their ideas to group discussions. Lastly, we see that there's a cognitive impact of emotions on learning where emotions are triggered to help in learning difficult concepts, especially that negative or those negative emotions. Triggering of negative emotions to help in dealing with negative concepts can, however, happen gradually to avoid discouraging the learner. Regarding the social impact, it means that students with a feel-good idea about education will openly engage with the learners as well as teachers with their fellow peers. This engagement is crucial in promoting that learning outcome. If a learner is negative about education, a learner is more likely going to avoid the social interaction in the learning environments, and this itself hinders the learning environment in the learning process. The cognitive effect is the most important in summation of the three other impacts on learning, as it is the intention of every learning process. Although most focus has been directed at the impact of emotions on student learning outcomes from the student's lens, the effect is the same when a teacher emotions are involved. Okay? Just like a student may have emotions, a teacher, administrator, other staff members have emotions as well. Every person in which you deal with is a human being. The emotional state of an educator or teacher can have a considerable influence on the learner. Okay? Where a teacher has positive emotion, there's a high potential of influencing similar emotions on the student, which is the same with negative emotions by the teacher. The message here is that positive emotions by an educator during the learning process promote better learning outcomes for students. For example, if an educator has a positive emotions, they are highly likely to be more engaging with the students, which translate to that improved student outcome as learners will seek direction on challenging content. This is unlike the case where an educator holds a negative emotion when teaching. Now, I will say this with students. Students are able to tell when their teacher is engaged or when their teacher is positive about what it is that they are, the student is being taught, versus when a teacher really do not want to teach the content or maybe having a quote unquote bad day. So students do know the difference. Implication for teacher instructions. First, we want to make sure that each and every teacher ensure that they maintain positive emotions when teaching to avoid imparting negative emotions to the learners. This is admin, this is staff members as well. We want to make certain that we do have that positivity that students are able to see. Educators should also seek to utilize teaching practices that influence positive emotions on learners. New technologies, new platforms are used in learning together with pedagogies as well as classroom environments, and they should be first to ascertain their potential impact on the emotion of learners. Okay, and sometimes we have to gauge where the student is emotionally. Being cognizant on the impact of any measure in the learning environment has on learners is imperative for every educator, that it ensures that negative emotions do not interfere with the learning process. Therefore, the educator should adopt measures to reinforce positive emotions among students. With the instruction strategies, they should be research-based, as well as to make certain that they do have the positive emotion on our students. Okay, we do have our resources as well as our references. Once again, this has been their presentation on emotion and learning. Thank you.